What dying feels like from medical reports. You want the real answer? Not the movie version. Not the bright light and peaceful music version. Not the horror movie screaming version. You want the medical file version. Here it is. In many documented medical emergencies, people who were minutes from death did not describe dramatic pain. They described confusion, heavy fatigue, tunnel vision, a strange sense of detachment. And what happens in the final minutes of life might shock you, because it's not what most people expect. Stay to the end, and I'll tell you the one pattern doctors see again and again right before the body shuts down. Death is not one feeling. Dying isn't a single experience. It depends on cause. Heart failure, blood loss, lack of oxygen, infection, brain injury, different shutdowns, different sensations. It's like asking, what does a phone feel like when it dies? Battery drain? Overheating? Water damage? Software crash? Same outcome, different process. Your body is hardware plus software plus electricity. Death is when the system can't maintain stability anymore. Now let's break it down. When oxygen drops. This is one of the most studied scenarios because it happens in cardiac arrest, choking, drowning, and some medical events. When the brain loses oxygen, first 10 seconds, lightheadedness, blurred vision, ringing in ears. Research from aviation and high-altitude training shows that oxygen deprivation often causes confusion and loss of coordination before unconsciousness. Not drama, just the brain going offline. Then comes tunnel vision. Literally, your visual field narrows, like your life is switching to cinematic mode. Then blackout. Many survivors of cardiac arrest report no memory of the actual moment of unconsciousness. It's like falling asleep mid-sentence. When the heart stops. Cardiac arrest is not the same as a heart attack. Heart attack equals blocked blood flow. Cardiac arrest equals electrical failure. When the heart stops pumping effectively, blood pressure collapses. The brain can't function without constant blood flow. Loss of consciousness can happen quickly, often within seconds. Some survivors later describe sudden weakness, collapse, a wave sensation, or nothing at all. Here's the uncomfortable part. The brain can remain electrically active for a short period after cardiac arrest begins, but consciousness fades rapidly without circulation. It's not cinematic, it's biological. Severe blood loss. This one feels different. With major blood loss, heart rate increases, skin gets pale, you feel cold. You may feel intense weakness, anxiety rises. Your body goes into emergency mode. It's like your system detecting a massive subscription cancellation and trying to auto-renew survival. But as blood pressure drops further, confusion sets in, speech slows, vision dims, then unconsciousness. Again, most people who survive massive blood loss don't report prolonged, dramatic pain at the final stage. They report fading. Extreme infection, sepsis. Sepsis can cause the body to shut down gradually. Common experiences before critical deterioration: high fever or chills, rapid breathing, confusion, disorientation. Families often describe something strange. The person becomes distant, detached, less responsive, not always screaming in agony, often drifting. What about pain? Let's address the big fear. Is dying always extremely painful? No. Pain depends on cause. Some conditions involve significant pain earlier in the disease process. But in many end-of-life situations, especially when organs begin failing, the body often becomes less responsive. Reduced oxygen, reduced blood flow, reduced awareness. Pain perception requires brain processing. When the brain is shutting down, perception changes. This is why in medical settings, end-of-life care focuses heavily on comfort and pain control, and modern palliative medicine is very effective at reducing suffering. Now here's where it gets interesting. Some survivors of cardiac arrest and near-death events report a sense of detachment from the body, feeling peaceful, loss of fear, altered perception of time. Important, not everyone reports this, and neuroscience does not conclude that these experiences prove anything supernatural. Current research suggests they may be related to oxygen changes, neurochemical release, stress hormones, abnormal brain activity during shutdown. When the brain is under extreme stress, it can produce powerful altered states. Your brain under threat is not a calm, logical accountant. It's a biochemical storm. The pattern doctors notice. Here's the part I told you to wait for. Across many medical reports, across different causes, one pattern shows up repeatedly. As systems fail, awareness narrows. Energy drops. Engagement drops. Consciousness fades. Not explosion, not fireworks. More like dimming. Like your phone going from 10% to 3% to black screen. And often, the person is not fully aware of the exact moment the screen goes dark. So, what does dying feel like? Based on medical evidence, in many cases, it feels less like a dramatic event and more like progressive shutdown, confusion, fatigue, detachment, fading consciousness. That's the clinical pattern, not Hollywood, not mythology, biology. Now here's the real twist. The fear of dying is usually much more intense than the documented final minutes themselves. Your imagination is louder than most medical charts. And that doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. Because once you understand how the system shuts down, you start looking at how you're running it right now a little differently. You realize death is rarely a cinematic boss fight. It's usually a systems failure, not an explosion, a power loss. In many medical cases, the body doesn't go out screaming, it powers down. And here's the part most people don't expect. The final minutes are often quieter than the years spent fearing them. Death, from a clinical perspective, is less about pain and more about biology reaching its limit, which means the loudest part of the whole story isn't the ending, it's the life running before the battery hits zero. But there's another layer most people ignore. Death doesn't just end a body, it ends perspective. Every unfinished thought, every private memory, every inside joke no one else fully understands. From the outside, death is a medical process. From the inside, it's the permanent loss of subjective experience. And that's something medicine can't measure. Monitors track oxygen. They don't track meaning. Charts record heart rhythms. They don't record identity. Which makes death clinically explainable, but existentially disruptive. And maybe that's why it occupies so much mental space. Not because of how it feels physically, but because of what disappears when consciousness does. Subscribe if you like this video, and give me your thoughts in the comments.